Always a pleasure bringing you the latest here in Rwanda and around the world. I am Isabel Masozera with my colleague
Sam Kalisa.
All right, this is what we have coming up for you.
The Ministry of Environment has announced that there are 5 wetlands that are going to be transformed so as to increase the beauty of the city of Kigali, with that going hand in hand with environmental protection, plus increasing leisure sports in the city of Kigali.
And over 300 young men and women representing their peers from the southern province have expressed their readiness to support the country's development initiatives. Always a pleasure having your company, and we get to our top story tonight.
All right, on Monday, President Paul Kagame received Haile Mariam Desalegn, the former Prime Minister of Ethiopia, who is now the chair of the Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa, AGRA, together with Dr. Agnes Kalibata, the president of AGRA, and Jean-Paul Ndagijimana, the organization's country director here in Rwanda. The leaders briefed him on the upcoming Alliance for Green Revolution Forum that will take place here in Rwanda in September 2022. We spoke to AGRA President Dr. Agnes Kalibata to give us a sneak peek on the meeting that is upcoming and what it means for Rwanda to host the meeting and what it means towards achieving food security in Africa.
The AGRF is something that we've actually hosted in Rwanda before. This is a conference or a summit that brings together on international level people from all over the world to come and meet in Rwanda to talk about the advances in the agricultural sector, the progress we want to see, advances in the food systems, especially now when we have a major global challenge around food as a result of drought, as a result of COVID-19, but also as a result of all these prices. So we have a major food challenge. So the focus this year will be really dealing with some of these crises and trying to understand how to deal with them. So it's an international conference that brings people together in Rwanda. Rwanda hosts this meeting every other year. Last year it was in Kenya. This year it is being hosted in Rwanda. It's going to be the first one after COVID-19.
All right, and today the AGRA team met with President Paul Kagame. What was on the agenda and what did you bring to the table and presented to the president?
So Rwanda is the host of this meeting. So as the head of state, he needs to know how the meeting is planned, but also to know what other heads of state we plan to invite, working with the government of Rwanda, working with the Ministry of Agriculture. We do invite other heads of state. And we do ensure that we have a really good mix of people coming to the summit. So ensuring that he does understand that this meeting is happening here, that we need the government's support in order to make it successful, but also the leadership of the government of Rwanda in terms of food security issues and in terms of food systems development issues. We all bring all that to his attention to make sure that we get the support we need.
All right. And talking about agriculture and food security in general, mostly on the African continent, being honest with ourselves, where do we stand today?
Probably not in a good place. Not across the continent we are seeing major challenges, and this has really very little to do. It has, to some extent, quite a bit to do with what is happening in terms of the wars in different places. But Africa's biggest challenge is climate change and the droughts that we face every year. Since 2014, we've been facing major droughts. And then the other biggest challenge is COVID-19 that has made it very difficult for countries to invest in some of the critical sectors like agriculture because they took a whole lot of resources investing in health. This has put us in a very difficult place. And then, of course, there's the challenge that comes with food prices. That is a result of all these other crises that are happening around the world. So really not in a good place. Again, if rains were coming the normal way, as Rwanda, we wouldn't be worried, and many other African countries. Our biggest challenge is that the drought is happening amidst all these other crises.
And talking about the issue of climate change, I guess it comes along with the issue of investment in agriculture, mostly in African countries. How do we read this as of now, and what should governments in different African countries do? Number one, to increase investment in agriculture, but also to bring aboard different technologies and different methods that can be used to fight climate change, so as to have agriculture sector stable and in the end have food security, as we always say.
Right now, it's really difficult. It's really challenging to think about investments. It's right now a lot of countries are thinking about ensuring that there's food on the table. So investments that go towards increasing food in the next season, investments that go towards ensuring that farmers have access to inputs, and in some countries, investments that go towards ensuring that there's actually food available for families that are suffering. Those are going to be, these are, you might even call them, interventions that are very critical to ensuring that society continues to survive the crisis. When we go beyond that, then we think about actual investments. It's difficult to do actual investments in this environment for two reasons. For the reason that I said around COVID-19, but also for the reason around climate change. Any investments we are doing now, we are doing them against a difficult landscape. But does it mean that we don't do anything? No. Countries are going to continue, and many of them are continuing to do everything they can. I mean, start with Rwanda. When you look at the huge plans they have around irrigation and making water available, I mean, they are huge. And when they all come through, it will be a whole lot of investments in the agricultural sector. And these are coming at the expense of other investments. But yes, we need to survive. We need food. So it's understandable that Rwanda would prioritize the agricultural sector. And many other countries are doing that. So I think that we've learned from all these challenges we have, and the priority for now, for many countries, is ensuring that people get food, and the priority is finding whatever investments they can do in the food sector and do them. And that's what the conference really is going to be talking about. What type of priorities, what type of support, what type of investments need to be done to ensure that this sector continues to thrive so that people can survive.
All right, Dr. Agnes Kadiwata, President of AGRA, thank you very much for your time tonight on Rwanda Television News.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And that was a very insightful report from Dr. Agnes Kariwata. Moving on, the Ministry of Environment has announced that there are 5 more wetlands that are going to be transformed so as to increase the beauty of the city of Kigali, with going hand in hand with environmental protection plus increasing leisure sports in the city. This comes as the residents and environmentalists uploaded the step taken to establish Nyandungu Ecotourism Park, which provides space for leisure and entertainment. More in this report.
It is morning hours, and different people, including students, are touring the recently inaugurated Nyandungu Ecotourism Park. On their first visit to the park, they say that it is a great opportunity for them to earn knowledge on what they have been learning and reading in books. I was happy to see the various tree species, birds, trees that are used for medicine, where one of Rwanda's kings lived. Long time ago, I saw a place where Pope John Paul II visited, which is where Cardinal Kambanda was appointed as the priest. It is of a great importance because many of the children that live in Kigali have never visited national parks because most of them are located upcountry. We usually read things in books, but I was able to see all of them here. Most of those who visit the Nyandungu Ecotourism Park go there for leisure, friendly chats, and visiting the beauty of this park, including bird species and trees. This is a great benefit for those who cannot go to visit other national parks because they are far from the city of Kigali. We know parents are most of the times busy, but when their children come here and visit the park, they go back and tell their parents about the experience. It increases the domestic tourism that we always talk about. In the recent years, industries were relocated from the former Gikondo Industrial Park, a move to protect wetlands that are habitats for various species. The government of Rwanda has embarked on protecting and maintaining wetlands as an important step towards environmental conservation. A research conducted by the Bulletin Rift Conservation Society showed that the immunity of wetlands, especially those in Kigali, has been damaged at a rate of 65%, implying that human activities that damage wetlands have been on the rise. And so were the effects.
Bifite ikintu kinini bivuze yaba kuri tourism ndetse no ku bukungu bw'igihugu ariko by'umwihariko.
It means a lot on the economy of our country and fighting the effects of climate change. In 2020, Rwanda revised the nationally determined contributions, and wetlands are included in this program because they play a role in absorbing fumes that pollute the atmosphere. If wetlands are protected, it will positively impact residents. The city of Kigali and its secondary cities are growing, so people need more leisure sports. Foreigners who visit Rwanda say that increasing transformed spaces that can be visited have a great benefit for the country's tourism sector, especially for those who reside in the Kigali city.
I'm really enjoying. Everyone's super nice here and welcoming, and just the scenery is very beautiful, all the hills. Yeah. I think it's really cool that, especially in an urban area, to be able to have a place for people to go and walk around, and I think it's really peaceful to be in the environment, and I think it encourages people to make response. I think that would be really cool. I think it'd be cool if you could even have different eco parks around Kigali. I think a lot of people would probably enjoy that, but it's been a really cool experience, especially coming from somewhere where some of these plants aren't indigenous, so it's cool to see them and learn about them too.
I'm so excited to be here. Yes, I've wanted to go here all my life. I think that this is already a really good start. I really like seeing all the new plants, and then seeing the signs are really cool to know about what all the different plants are. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you could have somebody do tours so you could walk around with the guests so that you can talk about everything new and exciting. Yeah.
As part of the plan to transform wetlands in the city of Kigali, it is expected that 5 out of 36 wetlands that are in the city will be renovated in the near future, so as to restore the ecosystems, as explained by the Minister of Environment, Dr. Jeanne d'Arc Mujawamaria.
From Nyandungu, we are going to Gikondo. Gikondo, which is a wetland in the city of Kigali, because we have seen that it is possible to rehabilitate our wetland, to live in harmony with wetland. And Nyandungu has given a message to us all, that a wetland is not a wasteland. And of course, when we will be rehabilitating Gikondo from Rwampara to Itekisirwa, we would like to see the Kigali we want. We would like to see the livelihood of our people in Kigali is improved.
Among the swamps that will be transformed in the near future, although exact dates has not been announced yet, include the Rwampara, Gikondo, Nyabugogo, Rugenje, known as the Rwintare, and the Kabumba swamps. In addition to creating jobs for the residents, these wetlands are expected to increase investment activities in the city of Kigali.
Heartwarming. Now moving on, over 300 young men and women representing their peers from the southern province have expressed their readiness to support the country's development initiatives. The Ministry of Local Government urges them to contribute to the development of their communities. This report is filed by Precious Chirezi.
Majority of the young men and women convened here are volunteers from the 8 sectors of the southern province and have been scheduled to spend a week at the National Police's Training Center in Rwamagana, where they'll be taught how to be courageous and service others as well as self-development. They have expressed their desire to be role models for their peers, especially those who are hesitant to indulge in hands-on jobs or activities that require a lot of effort, which will need a different mindset to take on. When we work, we keep in mind that the mayor and ministers were volunteers like us once upon a time, and that gives us the hope that we can also reach our aspirations. Southern Province Governor Alice Kaitesi says the training intends to educate the young men and women on the intricacies of labor in an effort to develop a better approach towards work that will inevitably be passed on to their peers and position them closer to development. There's a lot of innovative ventures in the district, but majority of the youth is only after the jobs that pay a monthly salary rather than explore their entrepreneurial side. The agricultural sector is scarce, but the youth should be pursuing those opportunities basing on just the success stories we've heard so far. The Minister of Local Government urged the men and women from the Southern Province and other provinces to respect all labor and to actively strive for the country's betterment, with the assurance that gratification resulting from that will find them in the future.
Developing agriculture was the baseline. The youth today think that white-collar jobs are the only ones that have money. Yet through agriculture, they can easily reap employment benefits.
The Ministry of Local Government says it will continue to instill the sacrificial and devotional mentality in all Rwandans, especially the youth, to meet their target, which is for volunteers to increase from 486,000 to 1 million, but this year they just have to get to 500. The volunteer initiative has been put in place to help the youth gain employment and encourage innovation that eventually lead to job provision in an effort to improve their living conditions and the country's development at large. Precious Chidezi, RTV News.
We'll now hit it with population census-related matters, which is actually upcoming. Primary and secondary school teachers are expected to chair lead the upcoming census on population and settlement in Rwanda that will be held or taking place between 15th and 30th of this month. A few days are left to the official census, and the National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda has assured that necessary preparations are already in place, including training over 27,000 people that will carry out the official counting. The Director of Census at the National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda, Vena Habarugira, requests all the citizens to play their part in making this census a success because it plays a great role in helping the country to make appropriate planning for the next 10 years.
The census is conducted every 10 years just to update, to get the population numbers from the national level to village level in the sense to help the country for the planning for 10 years following the census. The census is the only way to get the population number at the bottom level, which is the village in our case, and to update the demographic profile of the population. And this will help in the country planning for about 10 years to come before the next census to be conducted in 2032.
You're still watching RTV News. Some aspirants for driving licenses are asking for the process of obtaining their testing codes to be improved. Whenever they try to obtain those codes, they are rejected, which results into spending more time waiting for those licenses. This report was filed by Gislin Mugwaneza.
Latif Muhimundu and other students in driving schools and their instructors agree that it becomes a problem when it comes to register for provisional or permanent driving license tests. I tried to register for provisional more than 5 times, but on the 7th time it worked because the lines were opened for permanent driving license registration, but it was very difficult for me to get the code. It took longer than I expected. It affects the person who had a plan because it slows them to achieve what they want. If they could make it easier so that people won't meet challenges towards their progress and goals achieving.
You can go in the morning to find the code at Irembo service and then come back in the evening without getting it. Sometimes they can tell you that the lines were closed all day and you would wonder how others register. I've been trying to get the code, but it doesn't work. Last time, they said that they will open lines from 18th to 22nd. Whoever tried to register that time were told that the lines are full or else the system is busy. It really affects the student because they have spent their time and money, and some of them attend 30 days without missing. It becomes a problem when they cannot obtain the code. Our request is that they can improve ways of getting the code.
There are effects caused by delays in registration for driving license tests.
When you want a local driving permit, it is easy to do exams but hard to get the registration code. That is where the problem is found, and that is why many people choose to get permits from other countries.
RNP spokesperson CP John Bosco Kabera points out what causes the problem.
Due to COVID-19, tests were not being done as they were supposed to be. There were many people that wanted to do driving tests. When we reopened, many registered compared to the program that the Rwanda National Police set. People were more than our expectations, and we told them that registration was over before the deadline, but again promised them that in a few days we shall announce again so that they can register right after the announcement. Over 22,000 people registered.
According to RNP, the measures are being taken to solve this issue by reopening the centers that used to offer tests, including those for provisional licenses. Shislene Mugwaneza, RTV News.
And on behalf of the entire news and technical team that made it happen, many thanks for being with us on this particular edition of Rwanda Television News. My name is Sam Kalisa.
And I'm Isabel Masozera. Stay with us.
Goodbye.